Are we live here? Are we good to go? Where are we at? Let's see. Yeah, I think we're good. Maybe. Yes. No. Maybe so. Um. Yeah, it looks like we are good, guys. Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to Over the Talk Road. My name is Gage. How are you all doing today? Today we are going to be talking about Smackdown Live or Friday Night Smackdown, whichever one. I mean, I don't know what name it goes by anymore. But that is what we will be talking about today. So yeah, let's go ahead and kind of get into what I would consider kind of a mess. Um, so, I mean, okay. So I think it was a little messy for just the reason that there's a couple of things in there that I didn't care for. I think SmackDown as a whole was a pretty good show. I think it always is a good show. I think it is kind of like the best show that WWE has running, or the most entertaining show. I think NXT is week to week probably the best. SmackDown does have a really good heel right now in Roman Reigns. It has plenty of good options to be looking at. So let's kind of get into the episode. We had a lot of stuff going on in this episode. So we kick off with Roman Reigns coming out with Paul Heyman and Jey Uso. So Jey Uso is returning. I think it's the first time he's been back since, it was a couple weeks before the Rumble that Jey has been missing. So we get a quick recap of the Rumble versus KO. And Roman starts talking about he doesn't like recaps. He doesn't like going over things because it's already said and done. He beat KO like he said he would, and he wants to move on to the future. And what is that future? Edge. Or that's what he hopes to be his future. He says that he is the main event. He says Raw and NXT are a waste of time, and that Edge should grovel at his feet begging for this match. And so then he turns over to Paul Heyman. And Paul Heyman's like, Edge isn't here. He says, and so Roman's like, Edge is disrespecting him by making him wait, and tells Paul, I'm sorry. And so Roman starts getting pissed after Paul tells him, hey, Edge isn't here. Roman is saying that Edge is playing games with him, and then he starts claiming that KO is done with SmackDown. He's done there, and demands that Edge gives him his decision by the end of the week. And so we go to No, we don't go to commercial break. We have they let him walk off, and then it continues. I feel like that would have been a better place for a commercial break at that time. Instead, we get Dominic Mysterio comes out with Rey. Corbin attacks them on the stage and throws Rey off of the stage into the equipment, and that sets up our next match. About the promo. So the promo with Roman is the best heel right now in WWE. Him as a heel is just so natural. It's a great fit. I'm glad they finally pulled the trigger on that at the latter half of last year. Because he is killing it. He is week to week, one of the most entertaining parts of WWE, in my opinion. His promo here was pretty straightforward. He's continuing the thing where, he's a mob boss essentially, or, the tribal chief is essentially a mob boss. But with that being said, he still is really good on the mic, and is again killing it week to week. We we come back from commercial break, and Dominic Mysterio is in the ring, starting the match with Baron Corbin. Corbin goes for a sliding clothesline, and Dominic reverses and actually takes control early. I mean, it doesn't last long. Corbin, drops him pretty quick. And the camera keeps kind of going over the Ray during this match, because Ray's with the athletic trainer, and so they're showing that, like, it would be one thing if they didn't keep cutting over to Ray. It would be fine, but they kept doing that, so you already know what's going to happen at that point, right? Ray's going to show back up eventually and kind of mess with Corbin. The way they did it in this match, though, I didn't care for. Like, at this point, I don't understand how, because this has been going on since right after the Seth Rollins feud. How is the Mysterio family not the heels here? They're cheating to win. They're like, Ray should not interfere in this match. Like, that gives Corbin reason to be a face in this situation. And even though he was working heel and he obviously did the attack beforehand to try to, I guess, balance it out, it doesn't make sense to me why this is the route that they have been going. I don't know. I don't get it personally. So anyway, Dom is in control after the break. There's a back and forth with Corbin goes for the 619, but Corbin instead hits the deep six. Mysterio hits Corbin with a Rana to get him outside of the ring, and then hits a suicide dive. And then whenever Corbin's trying to get back in the ring, Ray grabs his foot from underneath, because Ray's hiding underneath the ring. He grabs his feet. Dom comes around, hits the 619, and gets the win. Again, I don't understand why we're playing this game, man. It doesn't make sense to me. We are making Rey Mysterio, who is traditionally, I mean, for as long as I can remember, been a babyface, and what he's doing right now, even though he's still considered the babyface, he's doing heel tactics as a babyface against a true heel. That doesn't make sense to me, man. I don't vibe with it. Because in my opinion, that's Corbin becoming the face in the end of this match. That's not what they're going to do. Ray's still going to be a face. So is Dominic. But I don't care for this feud at all. That's one of the main reasons I called the show messy at the beginning of this, because that's just not, I don't care for that. And that's just one man's opinion, I guess. So then we get a backstage interview with Big E. He basically just says he's been fighting his whole life, and then just hypes up the triple threat match that will come later tonight. That's not our main event segment, though it debatably should have been. That instead is the match right before the main event segment with Edge and Roman. Next up, we got Daniel Bryan versus Cesaro. This match was fairly quick. So it was really fast paced, and so we get a solid exchange of moves. Daniel Bryan is getting the better of Cesaro and hits him with his dropkick. And then he does a crossbody to the outside of the ring. Cesaro goes for the uppercut, but that's reversed by Daniel Bryan. Cesaro keeps trying to go for submissions. Cesaro keeps trying to overpower Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan keeps hitting submissions. There we go. I got it out there. In this match, it was interesting. So they're showing Daniel Bryan a little, like, he's becoming more and more aggressive, right? Throughout this match. They're saying on the commentary table that he is being more aggressive than he has been in recent history, which is it's a little bit of an interesting development that they got going on there. It kind of feels like they're going to end up turning Daniel Bryan heel again. I don't know if that's going to be a good move. Daniel Bryan is a natural babyface, and it seems that they're building him up to with this more aggressive nature to be a heel again. But that kind of is what it is. So, like I said, he's more aggressive in this match. Cesaro hits like this really sick backbreaker, and then does the spin, and then flips Daniel Bryan into the sharpshooter for the win. After the match, you see Cesaro, he's gushing blood from the side of his head. And I don't know when he got cut open, but yeah, he's gushing blood from the side of his head. It was really, for being such a short match, it was really good. He approaches Daniel Bryan after the match, and it looked like he was going to, continue to beat down Daniel Bryan. Just gives him a fist bump and walks off. And so next up, we got a Bianca Belair promo in the back. We see footage from her parents watching her win the Royal Rumble, which was a really sweet moment. It adds a little bit more relatability to Bianca Belair. If you haven't watched the Chronicle documentary they did on her, I suggest watching that. It also helps, the relatability with Bianca. She says that she'll make her decision soon, and then we cut over to Bayley coming out before the break, which sets up our Ruby Riott versus Bayley match with Billie Kay on commentary. Billie Kay continues to prove that she is the best thing going in WWE with her comedic segments. So throughout the match, she's saying that Corey and Michael Cole are talking to her, asking her why she's out here because of the Riot Squad throwing her out at the Rumble and everything. And she said allegedly, she's making it a bit. It's really good. So in terms of the actual match, Bayley was in charge briefly before Ruby takes over, and then Bayley throws Ruby like a dart into the turnbuckle. Really good stuff there. And she just dominates Ruby for the better part of this match. Ruby does get a little bit of offense in, does arm drag from the top rope, and then does a roll up on Bayley for 2. Bayley gets Ruby in submission. Billy goes to try to help, and this part right here felt like there was something that kind of went wrong. Billy tries to go to help. Liv is pulling her down, saying no, she doesn't need your help, yada yada. And then Ruby Riott gets out of the submission and then gets hit and takes the pin. Liv is looking at Billy like it's her. I don't get, like, maybe I missed something. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know if there was something that was supposed to happen that didn't happen, but I don't understand why Liv would be getting frustrated with Ruby. With Billy. There's no indication that Billy did anything wrong. So after the match is over, Billy goes up to Bayley, hands her resume, and then we cut to Bianca backstage. I wish we got a little bit more there. Smackdown even ended 2 minutes early today. So they had the opportunity to give us just a little bit more there, and they chose not to. So, I don't know. Maybe that'll be an ongoing thing where Bayley takes Billie Kay under her tutelage. I think that would be interesting to watch. Whether that actually happens or not, we will see. So we have Edge backstage, and we get little segments like this throughout the entire show. First, we have Edge backstage with Sonya Deville, gives her a fist bump. We continue walking. Next, we have Edge chatting with Shinsuke Nakamura backstage, and then we move away from that. And then the final segment before he walks out. There was just hints of Edge throughout the show, which is kind of built up stuff, because in the middle there, Roman is backstage, and Paul tells him that Edge has arrived, which that's why they made this the main event segment. But I don't necessarily. I feel like we could have put the IC title match there, and this could have been the segment right before the IC title match. But that's not what happened here. So anyway, we have Bianca Belair coming out to the ring to cut her promo, saying that this has been a wild ride ever since winning the Royal Rumble. She's been doing all sorts of press and stuff of that nature. And then we have Reginald coming out, which that just I understand they're gonna put a little filler feud in here, but I don't know. We just did this with Sasha. I don't know if we're gonna. I don't see us doing. I don't see why we're doing it with Bianca as well. So Reginald's talking about how he thinks that Bianca could beat Asuka, but he doesn't think that Bianca can beat Sasha or Carmella for that matter, which is cues Carmella to come out, and she talks about beating Sasha even though she's lost. She lost on Sunday to Sasha, and says that she could also beat Bianca, no question, which is whenever Sasha comes out. And then Sasha says that Carmella is in her past, her rear view, and she's focused on the future, and really gasses up Bianca. Says that Bianca has been impressive. Her stats from the previous, she won this past Rumble and went almost an hour. Last Rumble, she was the Iron Woman in that one as well, but came up short. But also had the most eliminations. So she really gasses up Bianca and says that she's been keeping an eye on her. That Bianca may be the strongest, the fastest, but she's not the best. And says that Bianca doesn't have the title. That makes Sasha the best. Belair tries to talk, but Reginald starts mansplaining that she can't win. Very misogynistic, the way that they made Reginald look here. And then Bianca, with her hair, starts literally whipping him, and that ends the segment. She doesn't give an answer on who she will be facing at Mania, which seems to be that they're going to go towards Sasha. That makes sense on how they're building this up. So then it was the Roman backstage segment with Paul telling him that Edge arrived. Sammy goes on a basic promo that he's been doing. He says he's got to reclaim his title, the documentary crew, all that. Then we get this kind of like weird match where the Alpha Academy is going up against the Dirty Dogs. Gable and Dolph do a really good exhibition of mat-based wrestling at the very beginning. And then out of nowhere, they fade in the bottom corner, Street Profits doing a watch-along commentary. And, it's not that they were bad, but I felt like they were borderline distracting throughout this match. It was really hard to focus on the match with the Street Profits down there, and also Michael Cole and Corey Graves kind of interjecting here and there. It felt pretty. That very much felt messy. Throughout the match, you do get Dolph and Rude showing good tag team wrestling, taking over Gable for a little bit and overpowering him. During this time, Street Profits did talk about wanting to get their rematch, and hinted that the Dirty Dogs may have friends in high places, referencing Sonya. So Gable does get a reverse and was able to get a hot tag on Otis. Otis dominates both Rude and Dolph, hits the Caterpillar on Dolph, and then he goes and tags Gable. Gable gets in the ring. Dolph does take out Otis at that time, and Gable hits him with the rolling German suplex before Rude hits his DDT for the win. And so that was a I mean, that was really quick. It didn't feel like anything too special. I'm not sure what they're doing with the Alpha Academy. I'm not sure what they're trying to if they're trying to build that up at all. I don't know what's going on with them. So then we get this really bizarre segment with Hulk Hogan. So throughout the night, they had been talking about Hogan being. So Hogan and Andre had their a historic match 33 years ago, right? Uh, and so Hogan does a actual promo because they had been building up all night that Hogan's going to give his thoughts on what Edge should do. But Hogan could not refrain from talking about himself the entire time. He cuts a promo saying that called Andre dirty and all this other stuff, and then he says whichever champion Edge chooses, it's not going to be a good time. They both should be worried, as Edge was his former tag team partner and champion. And yeah, he says that Hulkamania is going to run wild all over. I'm like, just like, shut the hell up, man. Like, what, whenever they talked about it, I thought they were actually going to do something to where he may give some insight to Edge or something like that. Be not Hulkster Hogan, and that's not what happened. Which I don't know why I expected anything less. But yeah, it was weird. It became about himself, which should not be a shock at this point. But they do talk. But after that, we do set up the triple threat match. I think Apollo comes out first, then Big E, and then we go to break. We come back, and Sammy comes out to the ring. So this match was really good, man. This was a really good match. Big E and Sammy and Apollo all had their bits in there where they were each like they all got plenty of offense in, showed Sammy as more opportunistic, and it's kind of same with Apollo too, though. Apollo showed a lot of that side as well, but he was a lot more aggressive. Big E was showing his power throughout this, and they do have a moment where Apollo kind of challenges Big E in terms of strength. Yeah, so Apollo does end up actually manhandling Big E. Sammy jumps in after and then takes over at that point. Apollo reverses and starts going to town on both of them before E reverses and takes down and then beats down Sami Zayn on the outside. Apollo jumps over the ropes. He does his plancha, hits Big E. Then he gets back up on the apron and does a moonsault from the outside of the ropes onto Big E before Sammy clotheslines him. And then we go to break at that point. Whenever we come back, Sammy still is in charge. And Big E counters Sammy. Apollo hits the dropkick on Sammy. And then Big E begins a roll on Apollo. He starts hitting his more traditional signature type moves. And then Sammy interrupts and hits it. And then he puts down Sammy and then hits a splash on both Sammy and Apollo at the same time. After that, Cruz does hit an enziguri, taking down Big E, and goes for a corner splash, but gets tossed outside. Sammy goes for a haluva kick, but gets hit with an uranagi. Apollo does knocks Big E down off the apron, and then hits a frog splash onto Sammy for 2. Apollo tries to hit a suplex, but Big E comes back in the ring. So Apollo has Sammy, I want to say, in the fisherman carry suplex. And then Big E comes in, hits a German, and so Apollo throws Sammy as Big E is throwing him. And then Sammy hits a knee onto Big E, hits the haluva kick, but Cruz is able to pull Sammy out of the ring and save the match. Sammy tries to beat down Apollo, but then you just see something kind of snap in Apollo. He becomes very aggressive, starts beating down Sammy, and then picks him up and chucks him into the timekeeper's area. So after that, you see, there's a moment with Apollo where he realizes, oh, this is my moment. He turns his head towards Big E and then rushes back in the ring. Big E hits a big ending out of nowhere, and that is the match. After the match, you do have Big E celebrating, right? He's celebrating on the middle rope with his championship, and Apollo just stands there behind him, frustrated, livid. And I'm thinking, oh, are we going to finally see Apollo officially turn heel? Because he's been kind of hinting towards a heel turn in recent history, but he hasn't gone all the way with it yet. And that felt like that was going to be this moment. That does not end up happening. However, we do get him just walking out of the ring, and that ends it. I'm assuming that's going to continue on into the next pay-per-view, which I want to say is Elimination Chamber, but we will see. It's a good character moment for Apollo, and this was a really, really good match. And like I said, I guess I do understand why why this match wasn't the main event, but I feel like it could have been. So anyway. That's the match. We do get a video package. I think we got it twice tonight, where Seth Rollins is going to be returning next week to Friday Night Smackdown. And after that, we get our main event. So Edge comes out. He cuts a promo talking about how he has dreamt of this moment of coming back, winning the Royal Rumble, main eventing WrestleMania, and taking back the title. And he debates on who to choose. His family, his friends, everybody's giving him different answers. And then that's whenever Roman Reigns' music hits. And so we have Roman and Paul Heyman and Jey Uso all come out. I don't know if anybody else knows this, but Jey Uso kind of looks like a hyena from The Lion King, but like the dumb one. I think Ed. So he looks like Ed from The Lion King. He's just kind of like in this like hunched position, waiting for scraps or to be released onto Edge, and he looks just animated. It's not a bad thing. It's just, I don't know, kind of a weird character choice at this point. So Edge calls out Roman for bringing backup, says that Roman is already sweating him. He's nervous, and Edge hasn't even made his decision yet. Roman's like, all right, so he sends Jey to the bus. He's got this. He doesn't need Jey. And then he turns to Roman. He says, acknowledge me, Roman, as the main event and your champion of choice. Choose me. Ask me to be in the main event. Edge just laughs him off, and then KO comes from behind Roman, hits the stunner, and that's the end of the show. Okay, so that's why I said that the Intercontinental Championship should have ended the show, more than likely, because that felt pretty lackluster, right? You just have out of like you build up this thing, and I understand you want to keep Edge around for a little bit. You want him to keep promoting this championship match at Mania, rightfully so. I get that. What I don't get. What I do not get, I really don't. I don't understand why is it that I just don't. If you're gonna have him, because I feel like his moment, his stuff on Raw, his stuff on NXT was brief but powerful. And SmackDown is usually the show that does that best. This felt weak. It felt, and I'm sure there's going to be more of a story, but like, why are we going back to KO? Why are we going back to Kevin Owens? I thought we were done with this story. And not that KO and Roman haven't had good matches. They've had phenomenal matches. They have really good chemistry. But there's zero logical reason why you bring KO back into this. If you're going to have that moment where Edge is out there and he's talking about, you have your boy here with you and all that other stuff, bring Christian back. Christian's obviously good to go, but I guess you're saving that for a bigger moment. I get it. I do. I think that they need to. I'm curious where they see where this goes. I don't know what you're going to end up doing with Kevin Owens because he's lost 3 championship matches, the normal one, steel cage, and last man standing. I mean, there's nowhere else to go from a last man standing. That's the end of the feud, and you lost all the matches. Maybe they'll change my mind though. Maybe him and Roman will have a match in Elimination Chamber or something. I don't know. You would think that they have to figure out what they're doing with Edge before Elimination Chamber. You would think that they would at least he would announce that before the Elimination Chamber, because then that way one of those matches can be building up to Mania. Whoever wins, whoever first the number 1 contender match, you put that in the chamber. They get to face the champion at Mania, whether it be Drew or Roman. It does seem obvious though that Edge, from this segment and from what what we can speculate, it seems obvious he's going to go with Roman. That would make the most sense given the current story look that we got. Will it happen? I don't know. I kind of hope they hold this off for a few more weeks. Maybe get him in NXT another time after Takeover and tease something there, and then inevitably choose to go with either Roman or Drew. Because I don't think he's going to go for the NXT title, even though that would be really cool. But yeah, this is a shorter episode tonight, guys. I want to kind of pack it up early because it is pretty late at night here. But I do appreciate I can't talk, y'all. I do appreciate you guys hanging out with me. And if you are enjoying this, be sure to head over to our YouTube channel, subscribe there. You can follow me here on the Twitch, and I'll see you guys next time.